There are many, many people who are interested in the kind of topics which scholars are covering. Now, the task is to find ways in which to offer their insights to an audience who are not professional. What we want to talk about today is how you get academic ideas into broadcasting. The New Generation Thinker Scheme is a partnership that we run with the Arts and Humanities Research Council, and the idea is for the two organisations to find academics at the beginning of their careers who they can basically work with to develop their research, their ideas, their scholarship for broadcast. Were the Crusades good or bad? Well, you know, of course, there isn't a simple answer, but you need to have somewhere to start which sounds good. Around 600 apply to find 10 people out of an initial selection of 60 who the BBC can mentor, can work with, can give insights into broadcasting, into programme making, meet producers, spend a little bit of time with them thinking about what makes a good idea on air, and over a year develop a sort of relationship with them that could then build on something for the future so that they could become the kind of people which all sorts of programmes on the BBC could work with.
My research specialises in the literature of religious and political argument in the early modern period, the 16th and 17th century.
My topic is the Actresses Franchise League, which was the professional theatre side of the suffrage movement.
I work on a range of subjects from 17th century recipes and medical practitioners to the history of beards.
From the AHRC's point of view, we have, as I'm sure you're aware, a Royal Charter objective to engage the public in the fruits of our research. And I've always thought there is an untapped appetite in the general public to know far more about our history, our culture, our ideas, our achievements, our difficulties. And actually we weren't tapping into that. So here was a wonderful forum nationally to put on air some of that expertise, some of that illumination, and start the public talking and learning about our own culture.
Jokes, are they risky? How are they going to work? We run 3 workshops in which we introduce them to broadcasting, talk to them about what works on air and what doesn't on both TV and radio, just to give them a sense of what it might be like to just not only talk about your specialism, but to talk a little bit more broadly applying your specialism.
When we think of well-known music, da-dum, da-dum, da-dee, da-dee, it's the tune that sticks with us, what captures our attention.
The workshop day is so hard, the standard is so high, to just take part in that meant a great deal to me.
When Claridge's asked their guests to breastfeed under the cover of a large serviette, they didn't predict the media storm. A mass nursing was staged in Mayfair.
Sometimes I can get very caught up in the fascinating details, and the opportunity to form saying, tell us why your research matters, try and condense it into a programme of 15 minutes or 2.5 minutes, maybe think, well, what really matters, what really excites me, and how could I project that to other people?
It's a full day, really, of seeing how you respond to the pressures of writing and performing and presenting and answering questions, how enthusiastic you can be, how much energy you can bring, how much clarity, and how ready you are to be flexible about changing your ideas so that they can be better presented.
In 1859, Alfred Lord Tennyson made a repentant Guinevere grovel at Arthur's feet for forgiveness.
It's really made me think again that when I think I am being accessible, I'm not. I need to think deeper, I need to think harder about the kind of terms that I'm using and the way in which you're speaking to other people.
Okay. I think there is an appetite for new knowledge, for new insight, revisiting familiar parts of our history, particular practices or disciplines, and hearing what the latest thinking on that particular field is. And the new generation thinkers offer that way because they're people who are fresh, they're tackling subjects for the first time in many cases, and I think audiences all want to hear that.
A young Irish nobleman set out with his brother and tutor on an extraordinary journey. What makes it more extraordinary is that Arthur MacMurrough Kavanagh, the young man in question, had neither hands nor feet. I heard about the scheme through the AHRC and I was really excited by the possibility of making a radio programme about my work. It sounded fascinating. And then I listened to podcasts of previous winners' programmes and I think that just hooked me in, really.
We realised, very early that we were onto a winner here. The 1,000 or so applications we got for the first competition, the fact that the 10 winners were in the Guardian newspaper on the front page immediately, the fact that all those people have gone on to quite successful media careers, and it is now launched at the Hay Festival. All these things are signalling something which has been a great success, but also demonstrating that public appetite for knowing.
So what I want to do now is introduce the New Generation Thinkers 2015. So if I could ask them to come to the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say who they are, which university they're from, and they're going to tell you something about what they do. So, Sam Goodman from Bournemouth University.
My programme ideas are about the use of alcohol in medicine in British colonial India during the 19th century through to the present, and how that's represented in literature and culture.
And the beer was often the most important part, because when the garrison commander Henry Lawrence was killed, they auctioned off his cellars. And a bottle of beer went for £7 a piece, which is roughly equivalent today to £300 a bottle.
I'm someone who works in a very specific area, happens to be modern Chinese history, and one of the things I find most inspiring is meeting these young minds, communicating their research to help me to think actually about my own subject in a different sort of way. And it's one of the many reasons why it's so refreshing to have this scheme for emerging scholars out there.
I love the project, I love the programme. It tells you, thinking back hundreds of years and learning about things that went on, which are in their own way even more fantastical than anything we can imagine today, even more contemporary, even more sort of subversive. So I think it's a great project, and I think the world should know more about it.
We're now in our 5th year of it, in our 10th anniversary year, 2015. The enthusiasm for the competition doesn't seem to diminish.
We would like to find even more voices who can speak confidently across a range of disciplines, who audiences will trust, and who have got new things to say. And I think that the New Generation Thinkers is a concrete way of us delivering that.